For your information, the way the body-worn camera works is there's no sound initially, and then the sound comes on. One of them is 10 minutes, the other is 12 in their entirety.
Keep those hands up, right where I can see them. Keep those hands up. Yeah. Alright, keep slowing up, watch orders. Alright. Break the window, Mike. You see your fucking ass.
Chris, can you stop, please? Thank you. Are you able to indicate what minute and second we have come to? 3 minutes and 28 seconds. All right. That is, in terms of the killing itself, the most relevant portion of the first video. It goes on for another several minutes. We will show those additional minutes. They include further footage of the police vehicle driving to the hospital and activity that occurs in the hospital after that arrival. At this time, we're going to show the most relevant portion of the other body-worn camera video. This, of course, is the video of the officer who did not fire his weapon and who was the driver of the car.
Stop. Move the car. Mark, move the car. 13, get us cars, please. 100 forward. Mark, get your lock on so I can't swim. West Wood. What's up? I got it. Where's the fuck? I just seen it. We're gonna have to get him out. We're gonna have to get him out. 13, anyone approaching? East, I'm sorry, east. This scooping that down tunnel. Tell Tunnel right now we got one coming in with one officer. I'm holding the scene here. Correct. Police discharge. We have one outside. My half is scooping that down now. I have the scene. I got a crowd forming. I'm gonna need people to start backing up. Down. Get all out of here. It's 100 East Willard. I got units on location. I didn't know parked it. I had to have them screwed up. Okay. I got units with me. I got the ESD unit with me, and I have 24 X-ray. I pressed up the location 100 East Willard.
You. 413 shots fired, 100 West Willard. Get your hand up right now! The officer, please hurry. 1 West Willard. This is the officer, please
hurry. I don't think we're saying anything more than the obvious when we say that firing 6 consecutive charges at close range at a vital part of the body of a person under the law is strongly supportive, together with other evidence, of all of these charges. What we are doing here today, consistent with the very specific wishes of the family of Mr. Irizarry, is we are bringing the evidence. We are bringing a close-up view of what occurred at that time so that the public can make their own assessment of it, and so that on an important issue that the public has followed closely, they can have more facts and fewer words.
Shoot you. 413 shots fired, 100 West Willard. Get your hand up right now. The officer, please hurry. 1 West Willard. This is the officer, please hurry.
Air video showing Irizarry after those shots were fired. We have team coverage following the very latest developments. We begin with NBC 10's Francis Wang live at the DA's office. Francis.
Well, Jackie, Johnny, as you mentioned, Officer Mark Dial turned himself in this morning, and then DA Krasner announced the charges, released the body camera footage, and shortly after that, Officer Dial was arraigned in court where he heard the charges he is now facing, the most serious one being first-degree murder.
Murder, voluntary manslaughter, aggravated assault, simple assault, reckless endangering of another person, and official oppression.
A long list of charges for suspended Officer Mark Dial.
We are confident that there's probable cause for all of these charges.
DA Larry Krasner releasing a crucial piece of evidence today in the criminal investigation, the footage from the two officers' body cameras. He wouldn't answer many of our questions or specifics about the footage or the charges.
These videos speak for themselves. The law and the jury instructions in Pennsylvania, the definitions of these offenses are supported by this and other evidence, and that is why we have charged ex-Officer Dial with these charges.
Officer Dial's attorney said this morning when he turned himself in, quote, "We intend to vigorously defend him against the charges. Despite what has been portrayed to the media, the facts will unmistakably show that Officer Mark Dial was legally justified in discharging his weapon while fearing for his life." At that time, they didn't know the specific charges and had no comment after Dial's arraignment. The police union adding that Dial has their full support and, quote, "We ask the public to reserve judgment until all the evidence is presented during trial. Like any other individual facing allegations, Officer Dial is presumed innocent and looks forward to helping his attorneys prepare a vigorous defense against these serious criminal charges." The most serious of these charges, DA Krasner saying, wouldn't even be a discussion if the person in question was not a police officer.
I don't think we're saying anything more than the obvious when we say that firing 6 consecutive charges at close range at a vital part of the body of a person under the law is strongly supportive, together with other evidence, of all of these charges.
And Jackie, Johnny, I was actually in court when Officer Dial was arraigned earlier today, just hours after he turned himself in. Bail was set for him at $500,000, which is highly unusual for someone facing first-degree murder. To put into perspective, the former Philadelphia officer, who's also facing first-degree murder for shooting a 12-year-old boy last year, did not get bail in his case. Jackie, Johnny, back to you.
Important insight with that comparison. Francis, thank you. Now let's get to NBC 10's Brian Sheehan with the very latest on that new body camera video. Brian.
Yeah, Jackie, the public has waited weeks to see Mark Dial's body cam footage from his vest the day of that shooting. And today, District Attorney Larry Krasner released that footage with the consent of Irizarry's family today, who is also calling for no violent response to the video. For the first time, the public is getting to see former Philadelphia police officer Mark Dial's body-worn camera from the day he shot and killed Eddie Irizarry. Corey Jones is a retired police sergeant with experience as both a use of force and firearms instructor. He's not affiliated with the case, but watched it with us and gave his expert opinion about what is seen in the footage. Do you think with the release of the video, we know more now than we did yesterday?
Yes, we did definitely know more now than we did yesterday.
Let's start with the officer's initial command to Irizarry in the roughly 5 seconds it takes from when they exit their cruiser to when Dial fires into Irizarry's car. One officer is heard saying, "I will expletive shoot you."
I'll shoot you.
There is question as to whether one of the officers shouted that Irizarry had a weapon. Did you hear either officer state what type of weapon or that there was a weapon?
I did not hear exactly what the officer said. No.
Take another listen.
Shoot you.
Jones says an officer can use deadly force if they reasonably believe they are in immediate fear of death or serious bodily injury to themselves or a third party. Did you at any point see either officer in immediate danger?
No. There was nothing from my vantage point, watching from the one officer's body-worn camera, that showed a knife, a weapon, or a deadly force threat that would have put anybody that I could see on camera in immediate fear of death or serious bodily injury.
The portion of the footage showing Dial and the other officer removing Irizarry from his car is too graphic to show. But this is footage of Dial driving a severely injured Irizarry in his back seat during the roughly 2-minute drive to Temple Hospital. Once inside the hospital, Dial is seen walking around and taking a few seconds to wash his hands. On 2 occasions, it appears he dissuades other officers from approaching him.
No, stop.
There's also this interaction with a hospital employee.
Was it any signs of life? Was he doing anything, talking, breathing, anything, or not? Barely.
From what you saw, how did his demeanor seem from the time of the shooting to when he arrived at Temple Hospital?
His demeanor seemed normal based on what I would expect from an officer who's just been involved in what he was just continually being involved in.
Well, again, the video is extremely graphic. District Attorney Larry Krasner suggests that anyone who considers watching it in its entirety keeps that in mind. Live in Center City this afternoon, I'm Brian Sheehan, NBC 10 News.
Brian, thank you. And the body cam of Officer Dial's partner was also released today. The audio does not start until after the shooting, so we can't hear from his microphone.
Breaking news, a major development in a deadly Philadelphia-involved police shooting. Officer Mark Dial has been charged with murder in the confrontation that claimed the life of Eddie Irizarry. He surrendered, the officer surrendered to authorities this morning. Also today, the video was released from the body camera worn by Officer Dial and his partner when that shooting happened.
And it is hard to watch. Irizarry's family approved the release of that video in its entirety, and it was shown just a short time ago at a news conference where District Attorney Larry Krasner announced those charges.
Action News reporter Taronda Thomas is live at the DA's office in Center City now with the very latest. Taronda.
Well, Sarah, I just stepped out of that news conference at the District Attorney's office, and we're learning more about the charges that Officer Mark Dial faces for killing Eddie Irizarry. And for the first time, we are getting a look at that video of Officer Dial's body camera footage. We are going to show it to you now, but I want to warn you first, it is intense.
I'll shoot you. 413 shots fired, 100 West Willard. I'll shoot you.
The body camera footage from Dial and his partner was released at the request of the Irizarry family. They'd already seen it. The footage shows the entire incident, which unfolded on August 14th near B and Erie Streets in Kensington. Irizarry had been driving erratically in that area as police attempted to pull him over. Now, in the video, you heard Officer Dial yell at the 27-year-old to show his hands, and he approached the vehicle and then fired 6 total shots. Police originally told the public that Irizarry was shot outside of his car as he lunged at Officer Dial with a knife, but surveillance video showed that that was not true. Officers did find knives inside the car, but Irizarry was shot while sitting in the driver's seat. Now the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office is promising a full investigation.
These body-worn camera videos will be introduced into evidence, most likely at both the preliminary hearing and at trial. They are crucial evidence in the case, and in many ways they speak for themselves.
Video evidence in this case, which we've uncovered, demonstrates completely that Officer Dial got out of his car, ordered him to show his hands, and then heard gun. And you can hear it on the video. He then saw an individual pointing what he thought was a gun right in his face. Fearing that he was going to be the next police officer killed in the streets of Philadelphia, he fired.
Now, that is the attorney for Officer Mark Dial. He turned himself in this morning. We were there. The district attorney's office says he will be booked and arraigned today on charges that include murder and voluntary manslaughter. The Philadelphia Police Department has already suspended him for 30 days with intent to dismiss. That, the department says, is because Dial was not cooperating with the investigation. Meanwhile, Eddie Irizarry's family says they want justice. Family members have told Action News that Irizarry was schizophrenic. They've been calling for the officer to be arrested. Now, another issue is whether Officer Dial's partner did yell that Irizarry had a gun. That was something that we posed to the district attorney. He directed us to look back at the video. The officer's attorney says that's what happened. But again, District Attorney Larry Krasner directs us to the video. And I want to throw in something else. This video is being released to the public, but Krasner really said that with a strong warning. He really advises anyone to think twice before looking at this video because it is, quite frankly, pretty hard to watch. We are in Center City. Taronda Thomas, Channel 6 Action News.
Yeah, it's very traumatic. Taronda.